Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started at 7 o'clock today. Just remember, this is a webinar, so we cannot see or hear you. If you have any questions tonight, you can type your questions into the chat box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to our program tonight. We'll get started at 7, so we got about just over 5 minutes. Remember, we cannot hear or see you. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them into the chat box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. Hi, Katie. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for saying hello to us tonight. Welcome. I see a lot of familiar names coming up, so welcome back if you joined us for previous programs. This is your first program, also welcome. We have a lot of things that we're offering virtually, and we're excited about this program tonight. This is a webinar, so we cannot hear or see you, but you can chat with us in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. So you can send us any messages you would like. If you would like everyone to see your message, you can select all panelists and attendees. This makes everyone be able to see your question or comment. If you would like to send a question just to myself and our presenter, Annalie, tonight, you could just select all panelists, and then we will just see it. So whatever you prefer, we're happy to answer. Annalie is going to answer questions verbally, but if you want us to chat back, just text you back, just let us know that too. Whatever works for you works for us. Welcome to everyone who just came in the room. We are going to get started in 2 minutes at 7 o'clock. Again, this is a webinar, so we cannot see or hear you, but you can communicate with us through the chat box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started. We're excited to offer this program. So Annalie, whenever you are ready, you can begin.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So hello, everyone. My name is Anna Lee. I'm a yoga teacher and a Reiki master teacher in both the traditional style and the Kundalini style. I'm going to start out by giving a little description of what the chakras are and a brief history, and then I'll go through each of them separately to tell you how you know if it's balanced or unbalanced. And I'll keep an eye on the chat, so I'll answer the questions as I get to them. Okay, so what are chakras? Chakras are energy centers in the body. They are spinning wheels of energy. There are 7 main chakras that go up the midline of the body. Each chakra controls a different physical, mental, and emotional aspect. These 7 chakras are the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. There are also minor chakras throughout the body. The 2 most important minor chakras are in the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. This is why when you're giving Reiki or any kind of energy healing, you place the hands on the object or hover it above it, because the energy is coming out of the chakra and you're also receiving information about the other person's energy through the palm chakra. So the first mention of chakras was in the Hindu text, the Rig Veda, in 1500 BC, or before Common Era, as they like to say now. Chakra means wheel in Sanskrit. Some say the chakras are spinning vortex of energy in the body, and they alternate which direction they spin, like gears. So one will spin this way, and then the one on top of it will go this way. Because if they start spinning in the same direction, they kind of get stuck. And which direction they spin in is determined by whether they are masculine or feminine energy. Masculine energy spins to the right and is more forceful, fiery, action-oriented energy, where the feminine chakras spin to the left, and they are a softer, more subtle, calming, cooling energy. And the 3 masculine chakras are the root, solar plexus, and the throat. The feminine ones are the sacral, heart, and third eye. And then the crown is non-dualistic. It has energies of both. The energies come together in that one. It's kind of like the ultimate chakra because it's a mixture of both. And there's always the same amount of energy in the body, but some of them can have like too little and some will have too much. That's when they start to get unbalanced. It's also said that there is a color associated that vibrates at the same frequency as the chakra. And I feel this is more of a psychological association than the chakra actually being that color. That's kind of a more modern thing where they started adding the color to each chakra. But the colors are in order of the rainbow, starting with the root and going up to the crown. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple. The red is said to have the heaviest energy and the purple is the lightest. And each one also has a different element associated with them that is also said to vibrate at the same frequency as the chakra and can help balance it. This is mentioned in the Vedas from back in 1500 BC. So the goal is to have every chakra perfectly balanced. Realistically, this is probably never going to happen. We're human. Things happen, life change, it throws things off. The best we can do is try and keep things stable. So when things do get thrown off, we're able to get them back on track easier. So like I said earlier, you can have too little or too much, but you'll always have the same amount. And you can have a temporary block, which can just happen from day-to-day life and can easily be resolved, or a more permanent block. And this usually happens when a temporary block has been ignored for so long that it becomes hard to reverse and may require help from a trained professional if it manifests into a more serious health issue. I'm going to now start to talk about each of the chakras individually. The first chakra is the root chakra. This is the foundation of the whole system. It is located at the base of the spine and in the pelvis in the front. The color associated with it is red. The element is earth. The body parts controlled by this chakra are the legs, feet, and the muscular skeleton system, and also the male reproductive system. In a house, if there's issues in the foundation, there'll probably be instabilities and issues in other areas as well. This is the same for the root chakra. Since this is the base of the whole system, if there's issues here, there'll probably be issues and instabilities in other parts of the body and the chakra system as well. In my opinion, this is the most important chakra in the whole system. You have to start with a solid foundation and then build off of that. This is the chakra of fight or flight. It's your animal instincts. It's your automatic reaction to something on a primal level. Too much energy can manifest as feeling depressed, stuck, or unmotivated. Too little can show up as being flighty, jittery, not being able to sit still, or anxiety. When you have an unbalance, you may have issues with your muscles, bones, spine, teeth, legs, ankles, feet, and also your adrenal glands, which produce adrenaline. When you have a lot of stress in your life, it can cause the adrenals to produce too much adrenaline, putting you into a fight or flight state. An imbalance here can also show up in your life as not feeling safe, not having stability in your life, or not being in the right job. This is the most common chakra to become unbalanced due to just everyday life and living, because up until a few months ago, we lived in a society that was always on the go. We were always rushing around. We had things to do. We had places to be. We had to get things done. And we were less likely to be in the present moment because of all this rushing around and having so much to do. So as a result, that can cause a temporary imbalance. So to help balance this chakra, you want to ground. And because Earth is this chakra's element, going out inside into nature, taking a walk in the woods, or gardening will help balance this chakra. So will meditating, yoga, and journaling. This one, it really depends on the individual person and what brings them back to themselves and the present moment. So you might find that sense of grounding through cooking or running. So the key to balancing the chakra is finding that what that is that grounds you, and that will help balance the root chakra. Another trick, if you want to balance it fast, is you take the first finger and the second finger, and then you just place those fingers on the ground, and that will reconnect you to the ground and the earth and help you center and balance yourself. Next, we have the sacral chakra, which is located in the abdomen. The color is orange. The element is water. This chakra controls the kidneys, the urinary tract system, and the female reproductive system. It also controls our emotions. And you'll notice as I go along, I'll mention emotions are associated with other chakras. So what we're talking about here is the stability and balance in them. So think of someone who is like PMSing, who can swing from one emotion to the other in like 30 seconds, and you're standing there going, what just happened? That's the imbalance in the emotions that we're talking about that happens with this chakra. The sacral chakra also represents the flow and ease of our life. When in balance, you may feel like you're fighting against the current. Everything is a struggle to get done. You're fighting to keep your head above water, and there's always drama. When it's balanced, things just seem to flow easy, or even when there's an issue, it works itself out without much fanfare or drama. Other imbalances that may show up are infertility, female problems, and PMS, like I mentioned earlier. The way to balance this chakra is to find movement that has a flow to it, such as vinyasa yoga, where you connect the movements with your breath, dancing, or swimming. Also, since the element is water, being around water, such as walking on the beach or sitting by the water or swimming, like I mentioned, will also, because you're bringing that element of the chakra in, and it'll help you vibrate on the same level. Also, taking a bath or shower is helpful. You can Google shower meditations, which will give you more of an energetic cleansing as opposed to a physical cleansing while you're in the shower or the bath. Next, we have the solar plexus, which is in the belly. The color of this chakra is yellow, and the element is fire. This is your power center, your internal fire It controls your digestive system, the large and small intestines, the colon, the gallbladder, and the liver. It also controls self-esteem and confidence. So if you have too much energy here, it'll make someone have an ego or be angry all the time because that fire is always in them building up. Where if you have too little energy, it will leave the person with very low self-esteem, and they'll be second guessing in themselves and have a hard time making a decision because they're not sure. And they also might not have the drive to get things done because they don't have that confidence to go after it. Another imbalance would be with the digestive system. And this chakra is a bit tricky to balance because you have to determine if you have too little or too much fire in your body. If it's too little, you want to add fire in with heat building exercises such as running and Zumba, or more of a heat building form of yoga such as Ashtanga or a faster flow vinyasa. If you have too much, you need to cool that fire down. So if you've been doing a strenuous form of exercising, you may want to tone that down and try, instead of running, try going for a slower walk or a gentler form of yoga instead of a faster paced one. The other thing would be to look at food. Since this chakra does have to do with the digestive system, it could be something that you're eating that's throwing it off. And you don't have to make a big diet change to see a difference in this chakra being balanced. It could be just something small, like trying to only have 1 cup of coffee instead of 2 or 3 during the day. Like looking at your caffeine intake or the sugar intake. If you have an excess of something, maybe just dial it back a little bit. You don't necessarily have to cut out, just try and see if you have a little less. Dairy is another common thing that will throw the system off. So that's another thing maybe to look at. Another note in this chakra, because it is the digestive system, you will naturally get more energy in this chakra after you have a meal. And that's a temporary imbalance. That is normal. The energy has to go there in order for you to digest properly. And if you have a normal digestive system, as soon as the food's digested, the imbalance will go away. If it doesn't, then there could be something wrong with the way you're digesting. So next we go up to the heart chakra. It is located in the chest. The color is green and the element is air. The organs associated with this chakra are the heart, lungs, and thymus. The emotional element is unconditional love for ourselves and others. So an imbalance here would be issues with breathing, your heart, or circulation problems. The arms and hands are also associated with this chakra. So if there's any issues there, it could be an imbalance here. Bitterness and jealousy are another imbalance. Also, self-centeredness. And then if it's an extreme, it could also be too selfless. So you're not paying enough attention to yourself. So it can go both ways, either too much attention to yourself or not enough. So that can be an imbalance there. When you say you have a broken heart, that's another imbalance in this area. So ways to fix an imbalance would be breathing exercises. Pranayama is what breath work is called in yoga. You can look up different breathing exercises. My favorite is counting the breath with the mouth shut if possible. You will inhale for 5 counts and then exhale for 5 counts. And this number can be greater or smaller depending on your lung capacity. And you may want to start with a lower number and then build up to a higher number as the energy gets better in the area, your lung capacity gets better. This also comes in nervous system, so it's good to ground the root chakra. But that's one of my favorites because it's not too complicated, because some of the pranayama can get really intense and complicated. So it's just an easy thing. You can ground yourself, you build the lung capacity, you get the energy moving in your lungs. So it's a simple but very effective exercise, just counting the inhales and the exhales. Being outside and breathing in the fresh air, as long as no one's around. If everyone's around, you should be wearing a mask. But if no one's around, breathing that fresh air will get more energy in it, rebalances it, since air is the element of the lungs. Having the windows open in the house to let the breeze in instead of always having air conditioning on, because that can throw the system off because it's not a natural element. And then also repeating affirmations of kindness and love will help that love for yourself, love for others. Just saying, and it could be, you could come up with one yourself, just a simple saying that you say over yourself, like, I am love, or I am happy. You can just say this over and over, and you can come up with better ones than I just thought of. You can Google, there's ones you can Google too. And just repeating it throughout the day to yourself, or maybe writing on a piece of paper and putting it, post it on the wall where you look at a lot. So you remind yourself to say it to yourself until it's ingrained in you. Heart opening yoga poses such as back bends, cat cow, and cobra are very good to get the energy moving so it's not stagnant. And you can do cat cow sitting if being on your hands and knees is not good for your knees, or you have a hard time getting on the ground. And you can do this either sitting on the ground or in a chair. If you do it in a chair, you're going to want to come to the edge of the chair, palms facing down on the thighs. And then as you inhale, you'll just start to arch the back, rolling the shoulders back, looking up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, you would round the back, round the shoulders, tucking the chin. And you would just do this a few times, and it gets all the energy moving in that area. And making sure you're staying connected to the breath will get also that air element moving to help balance. And just doing that a few times will keep it from getting stagnant, the breathing exercises. So then next we move into the throat. This is the throat chakra, very clever name. The color is blue, and the element, so to speak, is sound. And I should mention here, the first four they have earth-based elements, the earth, water, fire, air. And they're more of the, I don't know if materialistic would be the right word, but they're more of like the down to earth in real life kind of things. This one's sort of a gateway between the lower and the upper chakras. It's the in-between between the normal world and more of the spiritual world. So this chakra controls the throat, the neck, the thyroid, the mouth, the nose, and the ears. So ENT is the ear, nose, and throat is one way to remember it. It's also our communication center, how we talk, write, and listen. It's also our creativity, which is a form of communication. So an imbalance here could cause issues in any of these areas. And to balance it, you could try journaling to get your thoughts and feelings on paper, and that way you can organize them, and that lets you communicate better instead of like jumping right in and saying what you have to say, whatever. Sometimes having that moment to balance your thoughts will help train you to also balance the throat chakra. Chanting and singing will get the energy moving in the throat, because you get that vibration going in the throat and the vocal cords. You may want to also try a new creative endeavor to get that energy out. If you're a creative person, if you told me that to me, I'd be like, I'm not a very creative person. If there's too much energy in this department, you may find that you're always talking and you're excessively and you're talking over people. Like you're always interrupting them. You never let them get their thoughts out. So to balance this, you might want to try not talking and listening more. There are silent retreats where attendees can't talk for the whole part of the retreat. And the retreat could last for a week or more. I would never survive. But you may want to try like a mini version of this at home by making a point of trying not to talk for an hour or just a morning and just taking that time to listen. But I would recommend you probably want to make sure your family knows you're doing this so they don't get pissed off that you're just ignoring them, because that might cause some other issues. But you might want to try like turning your phone off, not going on the internet, not turning the TV on, and just using that time as contemplation. So you might want to meditate or journal or just sit outside and listen to the birds, just to get more of the like listening and as much instead of talking. So then we come up to the sixth chakra, which is the third eye. It's located on the forehead. Most people will tell you it's in between the eyebrows. That's actually not always true. It can be anywhere between the eyebrows up, depending on the person. Mine's about there. I have a birthmark, which I don't think you can see, and also a bit of a bump there. So that's how I figured out mine was there. But it can be anywhere on that line. The element here is light, and the color is indigo. It's how we see and perceive things. This is the seed of our intuition. It's our ability to know things without knowing how we know them. So having a knowledge without being like, oh, I read that in a book, or I saw an article about that, saw it on TV, whatever. It's just like this, you just know it. And you're like, how did I know that? Or the phone rings and you know who's going to be on before you look at the caller ID. It's that. It also controls our dreams. If it's blocked, you'll probably find that you're not dreaming at night. And this is usually my first question to people is I'll ask them, do you dream? If they say no, then that to me is a good indication that their third eye is shut. If they do, then that's an indication it's open. If they have excessive dreams or nightmares, that could be another blockage, but from excessive energy in the area. Another thing it controls is our eyes. And part of this is good or bad eyesight, but that's not really all of it. It's more of how observant we are, how much we notice, and like how much you pick up on what's going on around you in your physical space. And also in like if you're talking to someone and you notice like the little subtleties in their facial change or their tone of voice. It's those little like hints that you can pick up that gives you a little bit more information about the person, about the environment that you're in. It's also how we process light. So it's how like the outside world, the light hits us. So that's why the blue light from technology, from our phones, computers, and stuff like that can throw this chakra off and unbalance it. So that's another good reason why to try every once in a while to turn the technology off and just sit in silence and contemplation, so you don't always have that blue light coming at you. And that can also disrupt your sleep. So the way to balance this chakra is through meditation. And I would recommend this being a silent meditation. Guided meditations are good sometimes, like when you're first learning, or if you just don't want to you just want to have like a nice little venture, like from a guided meditation, bring you off into the woods, whatever. They're fine once in a while, but to really balance and strengthen this chakra, I would recommend doing a silent meditation. And that, because that will allow you, because when you're constantly being, from a guide one, you're being told what to see. And if you're doing it silent, then you'll start to learn how to see that on your own, how to tap into that intuition, to see the images, to get the answers to questions you have. And that will only happen when you're silent. Which leads me to visualization. That's another way to strengthen this, is trying to imagine in your mind's eye what you would like to happen before it happens and as if it's already happened. Like, I know athletes will do this. They imagine themselves winning. That puts them in that right mindset to go out there and have that. So to visualize, like, I really want this to happen, and then try and imagine and be like, and say to yourself, maybe an affirmation, like, I have this, instead of like, I would like this or I want this. Be like, so you get that into that vibration that you can resonate at that. You're good enough to get whatever it is that you want to go after. Another thing to strengthen this chakra would be to sit with your eyes closed and just notice the sounds and smells around you without judgment. Be like, okay, there's a dog barking, someone's mowing their lawn, the refrigerator's humming, the mailman's coming down the street. Just try and dissect every noise that you hear, noise and sound that you hear, smell, whatever it is. So you, and as you do this, you'll start to pick up on subtle things that you might not have noticed, because our background tends to just start to blend together and you just kind of ignore it, you don't notice it anymore. So trying to, with your eyes shut, hearing each sound will start to help you work on your intuition, to start picking up the subtle things that you may not have noticed otherwise. So too much energy in this chakra, you may experience anxiety, in which case you need to go back to the techniques of the root chakra and bring yourself back down to earth. If in extreme cases, this imbalance can get so bad that it can turn into delusions, schizophrenia, or other mental issues where you lose touch with reality. That's an extreme case. So the last chakra we have is located at the crown of the head. It's up here on the top of the head. Think kind of like when baby has that soft spot on the top of their head, that's kind of where the crown chakra is. As we get older, most of us, that space will actually go away. I actually still kind of have it, but that's the location of it. The color is purple. There is no element for this one. This is kind of like the master chakra, where everything kind of comes together, and it controls the brain and the pituitary gland, which is like the master gland for your whole hormone system in your body. It's also our spiritual connection to God, source, universe, whatever you feel comfortable calling it. An imbalance here would be issues in any of these areas. You could get headaches, that's another imbalance here. You may also feel cut off from anything bigger than yourself. You may feel isolated, alone in life. You may get brain fog. Too much energy can lead to a superiority complex, where you think that you're better than other people based on how smart you are. It can also lead to spiritual bypassing, which is when you use spiritual ideas and practices to avoid issues that need to be dealt with. So instead of getting to the root of the issue, you just slap a Band-Aid on it, and even though you really need stitches, because sometimes some of our emotional wounds are very painful and we don't want to look at them because we know it's going to bring things back up. We're going to have to look at that pain again. So we use our techniques to manage it and keep it in check so we don't have to deal with it. And that in the long run can end up causing imbalances and issues. Sometimes it is better to just, even though you know it's going to hurt, just face it, get it over with, instead of using the bypass techniques to get around it. So to balance a chakra is mainly through meditation, which the top two, that's like the biggest thing once you get up there, is meditation. There's less physical practices to balance them because now we're in the spiritual chakras. Also letting go, knowing there are things you can't fix on your own and just turning them over to the universe and trusting that the way forward will open. Joseph Campbell has a quote that's like, follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. So it's like trusting the universe to open those doors for you, even though you maybe can't do it yourself. Like just turning it over to the universe, be like, I know they're gonna find a way for me. Or it'll also may come in the fact that the person that you need to help will appear when you need them. So to receive this energy when you're meditating, do so with your palms facing up. So you can do this sitting and then your hands can be on the knees or the thighs. Or if you're laying down, then the arms would be relaxed out next to you, palms facing up. And I don't know if I mentioned this with the root chakra, you can do the same thing, but the palms will face down. That will ground you. This is receiving from the universe through those palm chakras that I talked about earlier. For some people, praying is very helpful. I know a lot of people don't like to pray because they associate this with religion, but it's really just a flip side of meditation. With the prayer, you're asking for guidance and help, and then meditation, you're being silent so those answers can come in. Ultimately, with this chakra, you're just looking to receive energy and guidance from something bigger than yourself in order to feel connected to everything and the universe, because we're all connected, even though sometimes that disconnect, it feels disconnected. So when the crown chakra is balanced, you realize you're part of something bigger. You're connected to everyone and everything and the universe and God and all that. So how on your own, like how do you know what is and isn't balanced? There are several things you can go from here. One would be to write down a piece of paper what issues or strains that you have in each chakra. And you will notice that you might find that there's one that you always have issues. You're like, wow, every single issue I have is always in that chakra. That's what we call a karmic chakra. So there's a lot of lessons that you're meant to learn in this life that are based in that one chakra. And then you may find another one that has all your strengths and talents. That's what we call the Dharma chakra. So there is a good chance that the Dharma will always have a little bit more energy and the karmic one will always have a little less. You might find that balance in there. So going through and writing down your strengths, your weaknesses, all that from each one, any issues you have, and then reflecting on them to see where the issues that you need to address, which one you think is imbalanced. So that's one way to go about it. Another would be to do a chakra balance meditation. There's lots of them on YouTube. And that will just give you an idea of what the energy in each one of those chakras feels like. And you can get an issue as you're meditating and then bring your attention to that one chakra if anything is coming up. 3 would be Anodea Judith, Anodea Judith, has some really good books and workbooks on chakras where you can work with each chakra individually to understand it better. Her workbook is called The Sevenfold Journey. She also has a kit, I think it's just called the Chakra Balancing Kit, where that comes with a smaller workbook. The Sevenfold Journey is like a book like that thick, where the kit only has like a really thinner one. It comes with that. It has cards that tells you what each of the chakras are, and also 2 CDs. One has a chakra balancing meditation, and one has a yoga flow where you go through your chakras. So she has a couple of products that are really good for helping you work through your chakras and learning them a little better. There are also quizzes you can take online. If you Google free chakra quizzes, there should be one called eclecticenergies.com. That one's the best one I found. I don't have huge faith in the quizzes, but that one seems to be the best of all the ones that I've tried taking online. Lastly would be using a pendulum, and that would be like this. That's a little trickier because you have to actually go get a pendulum and learn a little bit how it works. They're not that hard to use, but I would recommend that if you go get one, you buy it in person, not order online, because kind of like the wands in Harry Potter, the wand chooses you, you don't choose the wand. It's the same thing with the pendulum. Some of them will work with your energy, some will not. So it's always good to check that out before you purchase it. And then you can ask the shop, the pendulum, be like, is my root chakra balanced? And it will start to spin if it is. If it's not, it may stand still. Or you can hold it up in front of that chakra and see how it spins. So that is more, I feel like is the more accurate way of checking it. It's my, I can sense them, but if I'm just trying to do a quick assessment without putting too much of my energy in it, that's usually what I'll do. I'll hold it up and see how it spins. And the two places you could get those are Breathe Downport and also Envision Crystal Downport. So that would, oh, and I would recommend when you do this, you would go through each chakra one at a time, just to learn a little about it, how it works in your body, because we'll all have a baseline. Like I said earlier, most of us will never have perfectly balanced chakras because of what's going on in our life. So learning what your baseline is, learning if you have one that spins more because it's a Dharma chakra, one that's less because the karmic chakra, and how that energy works. So going through them once to see what that baseline is without like really trying to change anything, I think is very important, because then you can go back and work on where you have those issues. And most of the time, like I said before, the root is the foundation of the whole system. So most of the time I recommend working on that, strengthening it, and then going up in order through the chakras. But if somebody is upper chakra dominant, so most of their energy is up in their head and they're not that grounded, that can be too jarring to the system to go all the way back down to the root when all the energy is up here. So in that case, I would recommend you start in the crown chakra and then go down to the root. And that's why I always recommend knowing your baseline, and knowing where you are in order to figure out which way is better to go through the chakras. I think that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions for me? What kind of crystals help chakras? Okay, so I don't actually normally work with chakras. I know that said in the description. I don't know how that got in there. When I do work with them, I go for the color, the crystal that's the same color as the chakra, because the colors will vibrate the same way. You'll give that energy off, that feeling. So you can focus the energy on that based on the colors. I know citrine is a very good one for a lot of different things, especially the solar plexus, but it helps with digestive issues, relationship issues, self-esteem. So that's a very diversified, I can't say that word, that one works with a lot of different issues. And also rose quartz is a good one for self-confidence and any love issues. That's what my pendulums are, all rose quartz. That's the stone I'm most connected with. To get a more in-depth answer into that, Jenna, who owns Breathe Downport, she's a whiz at all this stuff, so she can help you find individual ones that may work better with a problem that are not the color. But the default thing is usually just go with the color of that chakra. So if you're looking to balance your root chakra, find a red stone. So that's the best I can answer that. And oh, good. I'm glad you learned a lot. You're welcome, everyone. Do I have any other questions? No? Oh, music. Yes. That's especially the throat chakra, because that's our communication center and our hearing. So music does help balance the throat chakra. It will also, it can help ground you. If like you want to do like a grounding meditation, you might find music that has like earthy noises that will help you, or for the sacral, you might want to find one that has rain or water flowing. So yes, the music will help balance the chakras. Any other questions?
I'm not seeing any other questions right now. I'll go ahead and put in my email if anyone thinks of anything. You can certainly send it to us later on. But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I learned a lot. I put that in the chat, like I knew nothing before. So thank you so much for all the information.
It looks like I got another
more
question. What is as a beginner, what is the first step? It depends. If you're really into reading and getting information, then I would recommend maybe getting a book on it, one of the Anna Day and Judith books that can help you learn more information. Grounding is always a good thing to start with if you just want to start with that, because that can help stabilize the whole system if you're unsure. And once you're grounded and you may start and your mind's more clear, then you may start to be more intuitive to other issues in the body, because you're quiet, you're listening to what your body has to say. So that's always a good place to start, either reading and getting some of the information from some of her books, or just try doing some grounding work. Okay, if you're upper chakra dominant, grounding yourself is going to be very difficult, because if you're always like kind of in your head thinking, trying to sit still and meditate, it's going to be very difficult. So probably doing moving meditation may be your first way of grounding yourself. And that may be, if you want yoga, can try doing that, or walking or running, something that gets you, you don't have to sit still while you're grounding yourself, but you're still able to get out of your head. So if you're like running along, all you're thinking about is like, okay, one foot in front of the other, then you won't be so much in your head and thinking so much. So hopefully that's helpful, because if you are upper chakra and you think a lot, sitting to meditate and being quiet is going to be very hard at first. And I know that for a fact because I am upper chakra dominant. So it took a long time to be able to sit still. And you're welcome. Glad that helps. And no problem. That spending my time with you guys tonight was the best way to spend my night. You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I hope everyone has a good night and it was helpful.